Wilbur Sweatstain. Wilbur Sweatstain was an untalented New Orleans Delta bluesman and one of the first Texas guitar players to come out of Chicago with a harmonica and a sense of bewilderment. His legend spans the Americanian landscape like no other, with the possible exception of every artist that ever existed. And some that didn't. And he is remembered today, Monday, as one of the most forgettable artists to have ever lived, died, or lived and then died. Already aged 104 when he first recorded, Sweatstain travelled briefly throughout his hometown of One Horse, learning little and doing nothing of interest until he began paying people to make up exciting stories about him and tell them to each other in nightclubs. And it is this, perhaps more than any other aspect of Sweatstain's tawdry existence, which has led to his reputation as one of the most stupid artists of modern unpopular music. Wilbur Nancy Boy Sweatstain was born in East Ereg, Mississippi, sometime between 1843 and 1976, to an incestuous pair of conjoined twins, and spent most of his youth, and that of his neighbours, picking cotton on a tobacco plantation, where he learned to play piano on an old guitar, and figured out a great way to dodge work. Unironically, but as luck would have it, it was here that he developed the distinctive style of banjo playing that was to earn him the reputation as one of the three second most distinctive trombonists of the modern era. Sweatstain's musical? Fuck's sake, man. Musical? There's nothing fucking musical about it. Oh, fuck it anyway. That's what it says here. Sweatstain's musical talent was generally surpassed by his contemporaries, but it is his flair for showmanship that led him to really sink head and shoulders below all of the other entertainers of the early 20th century. His was an idiosyncratic, wild and crude style that mixed rhythmic fiddle playing with mellifluous drum patterns and an almost uncontrollable vocal delivery. It is said, by me, that during performances he would often fashion a homemade flute by drilling holes in a marrow with his penis and sucking out the contents through his nose. He would then play the instrument by wedging it firmly between his buttocks and farting violently. By the time he was 120, 70 kilo, and 4 meters tall, Sweatstain was known throughout Phalliconia and Lassonerism as a real fucking embarrassment and someone to be avoided whenever the opportunity arose. Accompanied by his friend and enemy, Uncle Ben Srice, he performed his bizarre act at picnics, state fairs, house parties, and funerals, earning a reported $4.50 over a period of only 16 years, and being thrown out of more venues than any other artist before, during, or since that time. 9 o'clock. It was while being evicted from a particularly moving funeral service for following through while farting through a marrow that Sweatstain was discovered by the legendary record producer Eli Coe. Coe swiftly contacted the inconsequential record company and arranged for Sweatstain to record 346 obscene noises in less than 8 hours for the grand total of no fucking money. The crafty entrepreneur even persuaded Sweatstain to shell out $500 towards the session and to work as his personal valet without payment or a day off for 3 years. The release of these recordings heralded the onset of the Great Depression, and Sweatstain's career tumbled and spiralled downwards through a downhill descent towards the lowest depths to the underneath of the base of the bottom rung of career hell. 2 weeks later, on the 34th of October, Sweatstain died. Of shame. At the Minnie Mouse Palace Hospital for the Normal and Partially Average. An ironic ending for a man who never had any shame in his life before that. Today, and perhaps until next Tuesday, it is Sweatstain's influence on many of the modern unpopular artists that makes him almost partially border on nearly being slightly semi-significant. Drizzling Simpkins, Big Tony Chestnut, Growling Beaver, and Grimy Sprinkler were all inspired by Sweatstain in one way or another, or in some other way, to produce unpopular music that can be endured and has enjoyed a longevity as prolonged as the length of the period of time since its creation to this very day. Monday. A fitting tribute, perhaps, to a man who began his life and career at a time when time itself was in no hurry to take its time rushing into things.